Hello, welcome, and we're going to get started. So, my name is Corey McFadden. I am the Chief Product Officer here at ClearlyIP, and I'll be your presenter today, talking about a lot of the Microsoft Teams content. Joining me today is also Bob Webb, ClearlyIP's Chief Business Development Officer. I anticipate today's webinar will take about 20 to 30 minutes, since it's more or less a high-level overview of things, and it won't hopefully take up too much of your day. As a housekeeping note, everyone is in listen-only mode for this presentation, so you may feel free to type any questions in at any time, and we'll get those answered towards the end of the presentation. But please keep the questions flowing. We are eager to engage and chat with everybody. To get started, we are very pleased to announce at this stage that our new integration between Clearly Cloud and Microsoft Teams is ready to be rolled out. We have customers that are live in the system today, and we're ready to start onboarding more. And it's very exciting. Obviously, we've all encountered opportunities where Microsoft Teams has been a requirement, and at this point, we can now proceed and offer a good solution. I'll cover how things work together, discuss options and pricing, and our audience today does include both resellers and end users, but Bob will go over how to order as well as discuss resources to help everybody get started. We'll then get into Q&A and wrap up. So let's dive in. So to start with, what is Clearly Cloud? For anyone who's not super familiar, it is our fastest and top growing product within ClearlyIP. It's our flagship UCaaS communications platform, and obviously, as the name indicates, this is a cloud-based phone system, which is a full-featured offering, including call center solutions, a little bit of everything for just about every segment of the market. Our solution offers on-demand access to a wealth of powerful extension system features, often only found in enterprise solutions, all on a managed platform requiring no hardware at the end user's location. We have mobile apps, web-based apps. The system is reliable, scalable, built on a very extensible core, and is really awesome. So moving on to Microsoft Teams. For those of you who are not familiar with what that's all about, there's a lot of people who maybe just be curious at this stage. If you've at one point or another been invited to participate in a meeting in Microsoft Teams, you've obviously seen it, or if you've been in the Microsoft world at all. But it's Microsoft's collaboration platform offering chat, meetings, and some other collaboration features. It's offered in both desktop, web, and mobile versions. When organizations use Microsoft Teams, either in conjunction with Office 365 or otherwise, they get internal collaboration and video meeting capabilities out of the box. To add in calling to or from the outside world, even to your own video meetings, additional licenses are actually required. Microsoft offers these by way of combo packs or separately. All users who want to make or receive calls from the outside world or outside the company will need a Teams Phone standard license and a way of connecting to the PSTN. As of now, Clearly Cloud is one of those options. So I'm going to show you very quickly what that looks like. Let me stop sharing here and move over to this. And basically, as you guys can see, you go into Microsoft Teams, there's a calls button on the left. You click on that, there's a dial pad, an area where you can type a name or a phone number. You can always go in your call history and click call to call back a most recent contact. A window will pop up much like a video meeting, where you'll then have call control options at the top, a dial pad if you need to enter digits, hold, transfer, and that sort of thing. And when you want to leave the call, obviously you hit leave, and then you're back to the experience. So that is more or less how Teams calling works for everyone. And with Clearly Cloud's integration, this works with our solution out of the box. So This allows users to connect to Clearly Cloud, become big part of the bigger communications experience within Microsoft Teams as well as Clearly Cloud. By letting the Teams software clients register directly to Clearly Cloud, like any other endpoint, those users are now able to handle calls, be a member of call queues, access voicemail, have their calls recorded, and any other advanced call routing, along with other Clearly Cloud features that you would be able to use from any other extension. And they can save money over Microsoft bundled calling or other third-party services. So it's a really good business case as well. Licensing is pretty simple and straightforward. It is available in a one-time fee of $200 and a user connector for Teams with an MSRP of $3.50 per month per user. This allows the Teams user to participate in calls from within the built-in calls menu within Teams. So you can make or receive calls there. And then significantly, we've added another option called a Flex Connector license. This is an add-on to the user connector for Teams that allows outside calls without the need for the additional Teams phone license. While there are still a few restrictions on things like call transfers, this can be a good fit for many user workflows and a great cost savings for larger teams. At the same time, the user has access to the more advanced Clearly Cloud features like voicemail, call queues, call forwarding, and more. So it's really kind of the best of both worlds of saving money and having access to Teams to make calls. But given the limitations, it's not for every user. For power users, we still recommend the standard user connector plus the Microsoft license. So I'll show you briefly what that looks like here. So on the left-hand side of Teams, you'll see there's a dial icon. This is where we can now access a separate dialing application that gives you the ability to do everything that you could do with a standard dialer. Basically, access call history, type in a number, initiate a call. In this case, it actually creates a call to you first to sort of connect things and get them set up so you can make the outbound call. This is a bit of a licensing workaround with Microsoft, and this is how this product works. Once you're in a call, it behaves pretty much just like any other call. Now, the transfer button and some of the other features within this screen don't work exactly the same as they do within the other one. So you'll note on the area here, there's some additional call control where you can end the call or transfer there. So that's how that actually works. And on the calls tab, you'll see that the dial button or the dial area is removed. So that looks very much more like an internal user that does not have the calling feature. So that is the story with that. So let's move back over to the slides, and I will turn things over to my colleague, Bob. All right, Bob, all you.
Thanks, Corey. So, what's the opportunity here? Obviously, there are millions of Teams users out there, and there are people who want to spend their day in Teams. That's the opportunity. Enterprises are already using Teams. We don't expect to be out there selling people who've never used Teams on Teams. This is an opportunity largely for organizations that are already committed to the Teams ecosystem. Our connectors allow the enterprise then who wants to live in Teams to add the advanced calling features that come with our Clearly Cloud products that Corey's listed already. We have together, the agents and resellers, now we have the ability to take care of this, handle this opportunity right now. The system's ready to go, and the users and customers have been asking for this functionality for a while. So how do we get started? There is a separate order form outside of our normal order trunking. The link is right there. You will need to fill in your information as the customer, We need to work with the Microsoft Teams administrator. This is essential because we are in the ordering process and the provisioning process. We are configuring the enterprise teams. So there's permissions that need to be handled back and forth, and there's certain activities that need to be done only by that enterprise's Microsoft Teams administrator. We're going to need the Clearly Cloud information. the tenant as it's set up in Clearly Cloud today, be there. And then how many licenses do you want? How many do you want to use? How many do you want to purchase? You'll review the terms, accept the terms, and sign the order form. We do have support pages for all of this on our knowledge base. The link is out there. We will constantly be updating it, but it is ready for your review right now to help you understand the process and how this works, working really with the agent, the reseller, the end users, enterprise, Microsoft Teams administrator, and our implementation staff. So our team will work directly with the Teams administrator. We'll get on some joint calls. We'll work through the process. It's a very smooth process. It's about 20 minutes to turn up a new enterprise, and numerous screens, again, going in and out of Teams and in and out of our connector portal. So we're going to head to questions now,
Yeah.
Corey. So I think you're going to take control
absolutely.
here.
So I'm going to relay some of these, and I will pose some to you. So one of the first questions we have is, why would we pay more for the Flex license that appears to have less features? And Bob, you can probably explain the bigger impact on the cost picture with that.
Sure. So with the standard user connector, every user needs a Microsoft phone license. If you're standard enterprise licensing, what they call an E3 license, that's going to cost you $8 per user there. So by adding the $2 with the Flex license, you can then subtract the $8 requirement that you would pay to Microsoft to have that Microsoft Teams phone standard license that they require.
Right. So we're basically paying slightly more on our side, but we're saving a lot more on the Microsoft side in the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Got it. All right. And is Flex legal with Microsoft? Absolutely. So there's an underlying API where there's costs being paid to Microsoft to make those calls back and forth. It's not passed through to the reseller, so don't worry about usage cost in addition to everything there. But it is totally above board and supported by Microsoft. It's not like one of these hacks that's sort of going to potentially go away. This is a real solution. Okay, so does Clearly need access to my Microsoft 365 account and need a user set up? So Bob, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the onboarding and how that kind of works.
So the onboarding process works with an enterprise portal. So the enterprise will sign into this portal. What's interesting about this portal is the authentication for the portal is the Teams administration. So the portal is reaching out directly into the Teams and saying, is this person the Teams administrator? At that point, you'll be granting, the Teams administrator will be granting certain privileges to just this portal. And the portal will then be able to execute the scripts necessary to configure Microsoft Teams to have what's called direct routing support, which is how Microsoft connects their phone clients to the outside world.
Great. So there's more questions about licensing, and one of those is, what's the minimum Microsoft license required to connect to the system?
Minimum license is an Office license with Teams, so you need to have Teams, and then you need a Microsoft phone standard, it's called license, in order to use the user connector. You do not need that phone standard license if you buy the Flex add-on, and you have, as Corey's highlighted, it's slightly different calling experience, but all the same features.
Yeah, one of the other questions was more specifically, what are the limitations of Flex versus the, sort of normal full setup? And to answer that question, I'll basically say that you can make and receive calls basically one at a time. You can transfer calls technically, but it's not a great experience. We don't recommend it for people who have a heavy workflow transferring calls. Imagine, for example, if you're an inbound call center and you have agents that just sort of need to answer one call after another, it might be the right fit. If you have users that have very limited need but still want to have connectivity, that might be the right fit. But for those people who, especially have used other solutions before, are accustomed to the buttons working in the same way that they've used them in the past, that's where we kind of recommend staying with the normal Teams licensing experience. All right. If my customer wants to use Microsoft as their voice system, can we still use ClearlyIP for trunking is one of the questions. So Bob, we didn't talk about direct routing. Maybe you can get into that a little bit.
The point is yes, we can be your trunking support on that thing. So in that scenario, Teams is operating as the full PBX, and we can work with you through much the same process to establish the trunking and the call paths necessary to connect that instance to the outside world. It's already out there on the order form, and follow all the processes discussed above.
Great. And one of the questions is Teams just acting as a phone connected to Clearly Cloud like a soft phone? And that's exactly right. So the Teams client for each user will be configured with the authentication credentials for each extension on the system. So imagine it working very much just like any other device on your Clearly Cloud implementation, just like a desk phone, just like Clearly Anywhere, or the call panel, or what have you. This is just one of many clients you can now use to connect to Clearly Cloud. Let's see, will this work with the 270 CIP phones? Bob, do you have the answer to that question? Tony's joined us as well. Maybe Tony wants to chime
I
in on
don't
that
believe
one.
our phones are Teams
Yeah,
licensed phones. Tony, do you want to take that
I
one?
don't think so.
I'm gonna take that one and say no at this point. We'll
Yeah,
get back to none of our phones are Teams licensed phones at
yeah,
this point.
we can follow up. I mean, if the question really is, can we connect that phone directly to Teams? The answer is probably not.
Sorry
There are
about that.
specific things. There's Tony.
Hey, Corey.
Hello.
Yeah, so no, our phones aren't team certified. There's very few phones that are, and it's
Yeah.
not in our current roadmap. That being said, our Android phones, the 280 and 290, you can install the Teams app on those phones and connect that to Teams because
Yeah.
it's just an Android phone.
Yeah, that's a great answer. All right, let's see. So we're not providing the username and password of a team admin user, correct? So basically, someone's trying to clarify that we don't need to get full access to their system. So there's an invitation sent. Is that the idea?
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
once the form is completed, we'll schedule an implementation time. Emails will be sent to the Teams administrator, and then the Teams administrator, with our guidance, will be walking through the enterprise portal. At no point do we have access to any Teams licensing, Teams access, enterprise access whatsoever. The administrator can grant us permission to handle things like users and DIDs for them if they want, but that is an optional solution. But at no point do we have access to any internal information of the Microsoft Teams instance.
And Bob, I think it's important to say the portal that the end user logs into, they don't use any login for it. They get a link in that email and it'll prompt them to log in with their Microsoft credentials using Microsoft's OAuth, like you
Yep.
can log in with Facebook and stuff. So there is no separate login into this end user portal that authorizes us to push to Teams the direct routing. It's done right with your OAuth token from Teams.
Thanks, Tony. That's just the perfect answer because the next question was about, do we use OAuth to connect the two? So you've two birds with one stone there.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, that's actually, I think, all the questions we have so far.
Nope, there's one more there.
Did you see another one? What do we
yeah.
got?
Do users buy MS license from their current O365 provider? Yeah, we don't get involved in any of the licensing of Teams. We don't get involved in managing or supporting the Teams itself. All we're doing is creating an SBC bridge between our system and Teams.
Yeah, so if you guys are that licensed provider, we're happy to help you, get what you need to get going. But yeah, absolutely. All right. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, thanks so much everybody for joining. We are really excited to move along with this product. We feel like it's going to unlock a lot of opportunities for both Clearly as well as a lot of our partners. So please contact us if you have any questions. Bob will be able to assist with demos, with any onboarding, whatever you need. Bob is your guy, and I'll be here as well. So thanks everyone
Corey,
so much.
There's a few questions that have come in.
Oh, more?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
great. Awesome.
Is there a call center solution that enables managers to assign people to queues? So again, we're not doing anything in Teams besides treating Teams as a soft phone to Clearly Cloud. So
Mhm.
Clearly Cloud has a full call center and queuing.
Yeah.
So you'd create your queues in Clearly Cloud, and instead of that agent answering calls on a desk phone, or they may still, Teams is just a soft phone to us, is all
Yep.
we treat it as.
Yeah, so really all of the features that you have within Clearly Cloud from a contact center perspective apply to all of the agents, regardless of what kind of phone they're connected. And Teams, again, for users with basic call flows, you've got two different licensing options with us, one of which saves you, more money, and then, certainly a lot of other solution or a lot of other options within there as well. But, really managing everything through Clearly Cloud, all of the analytics, it ties it all back together. So there's really no difference between a Teams user and a user on something else at the end of the day. Do we have a breakdown of cloud features versus Microsoft PBX? So from a sales support perspective, I'm sure we can help you guys with those questions. Bob, is there anything more specific you want to say answering that one?
I mean, I think it's a good question. We should dig into it. We are not experts on the Microsoft phone system itself, PBX system. We believe our UCaaS system is, that being said, we think we compete extraordinarily well against it with our UCaaS features that we provide. So I don't
Yeah.
have a specific handout at this point, but we can develop one.
What I can tell you from what I've heard over and over from partners and folks in the field is that, Microsoft does a nice job with collaboration, with calling, with video meetings. But when it comes down to contact center features, with the, overall phone system experience, it's not quite what you get with a more uh, mature product like Clearly Cloud. So this gives you really the best of both worlds. So for organizations that are kind of really wanting to move to Teams because they love the video meetings, this gives them a way to continue to have a great phone system and then leverage that as a client, against that phone system for those experiences. Someone would like to see the pricing screen again. Absolutely. We can hop back there super quick. So we have the user connector for Teams. MSRP again is $3.50 per month. This, with the phone license from Microsoft, is the all-in-one solution at that point. Or without the Microsoft phone or the Teams phone license, you can add the Flex license add-on and then get access to the calling options that we've shown. So, all right. Any other questions? Possibility of a connector for Zoom in the future. Not at the moment, but we will consider that. All right. Going once, twice, thrice. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining again. So happy to connect and have your time. We're here to help if you need anything. So Tony, Bob, thanks so much. Everybody have a great afternoon.
You too, Corey. Thanks, everybody.